Hello, this is JX Editor, and I'm just going to be doing a quick tutorial video on an effect for a video I've recently released. It's where I made Thorin's sword Orcrist glow blue when the goblin unsheaths it in Goblin Town. Yeah, so I know the last time I did a video like this, it didn't really end well for me.
I thought this was America! Huh? Isn't this America? I'm sorry, I thought this was America!
I really wish I had recorded myself editing this because I didn't think to make this video until after it was already done, and I didn't want to remake it from scratch when I could just break it down. So rather than following along as I make the edit, this is going to be more of a behind-the-scenes type of video. Let me play that here. So what it is just, it was all done in Adobe Premiere, and it's just layers that have been rotoscoped to behave differently, I suppose, for lack of a better term. So here it is without the effect. The first thing I did was isolate the blade as it was unsheathed. And I did that by applying a crop tool and just setting one of the directions to 100% so it was completely gone. And then I just used the free draw tool to make an outline. So if I were to do it again, it would be here. And just get rid of all these video effects, transform, crop. Set this to 100 just to completely get rid of it, and you'll see there's also some color correction in there. And then I hit this free draw tool and just click and drag to outline the blade. And eventually you'll have that. And it helps to zoom in to 100 or even 150%. And then it was just adjusting at each frame. One way you can do this faster is by just skipping ahead and just letting the points move on their own. You might be able to use this button here, add/remove keyframe, to add a keyframe there. So that way if you have to adjust something else in the animation, this frame will stay the same. I also inverted it, because otherwise it would be doing this. Once this was done, I then made it significantly brighter and decreased the contrast. It just needs to look kind of like this. Then I added a color balance tool, which, by the way, most of these are found in either color correction or transform, or if you're using a newer version of Adobe Premiere, obsolete for the last thing, which will be the fast color corrector. So what I did was, when I applied the color balance tool, I really increased all the blues, or most of the blues, not the midtone. What the fuck? Until it looked like this. And then I used a fast color corrector to increase the saturation to 200% because I wanted it to be really blue. But I wanted it to be the sky blue, which is why I did everything else. And then I went back to crop and I adjusted the feather. And this one is only 10 because then I copied it and pasted it over on top of it, and so it looked exactly the same, except it was feathered 25, so it actually had like a glow about it. The last thing I did was copy and paste the video again and apply these transitions here. These can be found in video transitions, dissolve, cross dissolve, and you just drag and put them on the end here. And what this layer is going to be is the goblin's face as it lights up, because as you can see, the light is glowing onto his face. And what I did was very similar to what I did with the crop, though instead of adding a crop, I just did the exact same thing with opacity. It works the exact same, and what I did was just make a basic outline of his face, and I didn't even change the shape. I just had it constantly following his eyes. Then what I did was made the blend mode screen, which can be found right here, and the feather I had at 90 because I wanted it to be really thin. Nothing significant about the fast color corrector other than I adjusted the saturation to 75. Then I tinted it so that everything that was white was this sky blue color similar to the sword. What that's going to do is make all the bright parts of his face this blue, and all the shadows will stay black. And once you use screen, all the darks will just be made transparent. And then finally I just added a compound blur, which can be found in Video Effects, Blur and Sharpen, Compound Blur. And just brought the blur up to 35 so it didn't look like there was this crisp blue light over the goblin's face. Instead it looks a little more like it's actually being shined on. So for the next one it was very similar. I did the exact same thing except I didn't use a shine. So like the first clip, I isolated every frame where the sword is on the screen. I used the crop tool to completely remove the second layer by, of course, making left 100%. It doesn't need to be left, it could be any of them. And then I just masked the frame and did pretty much the exact same thing as I did with the other one. I have the fast color corrector here, which is at 200% like the other one, and I have the color balance that is the exact same as the other one. And I have the second layer with the higher feather. This time it's 51 and 15 because it's closer to the screen, to the camera, because it's closer to the camera. And so really that's it. It's a pretty simple effect I did in Premiere. Let's take a look.
I know that sword! It is the Goblin Cleaver!